I found out it's a lot of people's first C-drama. That was pretty good. And everyone's a bit empty, so from finishing, I'm just here to tell you that there's so many good ones, there's so many C-dramas that you're going to enjoy. Okay, I'm here to recommend some. First C-drama I got introduced to, so I will swear by it. Actually, just even thinking about it, I might have to rewatch it because it's been like 9 years, yet the story is still fresh in my head, and that is the story of Yanxi Palace. 70 episodes. I know I just said, I'm just gonna repeat it again, 70 episodes, but trust me when I say I wiped it in like 2 weeks. 2 3 weeks I finished it, because there's not a single scene that was boring that I had to skip, and there's a reason why 70 episodes, and there's a reason why it's so successful. Trust that is good. It's a historical drama, and it's about this female character, female lead, super slay, played by Wu Jingyan, the absolute legend, the goddess herself. Her character is going to the palace for one reason and one reason only, and that is to find out the cause, find out her sisters, and essentially carry out her amazing, exquisite plan for revenge. That is the premise of the story of Yanxi Palace, but of course there's other bits and pieces going on. There's a bit of romance, and there's scandals and all sorts of drama. It's gonna be entertaining. It's so good. Vouch for it, remains one of the best. I say personally, in my humbly opinion, is one of the best C-dramas to watch. Next, I personally think it's a very underrated drama. I will never stop yapping about it. This one has a bit of an interesting backstory from my personal experience, because I tried watching this drama twice. The first time that this aired in 2023, this drama called Till the End of the Moon, I could not get past episode 21. I think some part of me knew it was gonna... I think I just knew, some part of me, okay? Without any spoilers, so I decided to drop it, and then I watched it when I was in the correct headspace to watch it last year, and I finished it last year. One of the most philosophical, deep C-dramas that I've ever seen. In the philosophical sense, I think that's probably the first one. In the terms of depth, it's not the first one, but the philosophical, if you're into philosophical themes, and a little bit borderline spiritual, you'll probably like Till the End of the Moon. Hands down, it's one of the best. This one is a little bit different than Pursuit of Jade. I will say that is only because it's a different genre. It's a Chinese fantasy, whereas Pursuit of Jade has no fantasy in it. Genre is called xianxia, one of the most popular genres of C-drama. It involves the characters living alternate lifetimes. They'll live alternate lives, whereas Pursuit of Jade, the characters don't go through that, and that's one of the charms in xianxia dramas. It's about this male lead, Tan Laijin, played by the legendary Luo Yunxi. This person is born with this evil bone in his body, and he's supposed to be evil. He's born, and people will just label him as such, and they just think, well, that's what you're born as, and that's what you're gonna be. You can't do anything about it. You're destined to be hated. You're destined to kill with a lot of people. You're destined to a lot of celestial beings. You're meant to destroy. There's nothing you can do about that. Right off the bat, this is the premise, so it's not a spoiler. I could do a whole podcast about this drama, quite frankly, but I will spare you the details, and I think you should experience it for yourself. Essentially, the opening is quite literally, that's how explosive it is. It keeps you hooked until the very, very end. And this celestial being, the female lead, played by Bai Lu, she is the celestial realm's last hope. And with their last energy, their last strength, they're able to send her back in time before he manifests into this devil god, essentially, that the entire celestial realm, because at that point it was too late. They hope that she can prevent him from being manifested into this devil god and save the world, essentially. Now, as you can imagine, it's going to go exactly as you hope it's gonna go. The pair are gonna fall in love, obviously, but there's a lot of themes in between that makes this drama so worthwhile. And it's one of those dramas where you can go back and rewatch, and there's details that you missed the first time because it doesn't quite make any sense, and then you realize there's little bits and pieces scattered around that you just think, oh my god, the details are absolutely insane. It could just be about how the tables have turned in certain scenes, which I can't even spoil. I can do a whole podcast about this, but there's 10 minutes. I've used up 4 minutes just for this, just to recommend this. I hope it convinced you to watch. Yes, there's romance, that's the whole point. Most people view this as a love story, it's a romance story, which that's the pitch in the trailer, but I view this to be so much more than just a simple romantic story. It's up to your interpretation. And in any case, I think you're gonna enjoy it regardless of whether you're philosophical or not. But if you're particularly really interested in deep super deep dramas that will make you pause at certain moments and just reflect on it, I love it when dramas do that. There's not a lot of dramas that make me do that, but this is one of the few ones. And it'll just make you sit and ponder about life, and it makes you ponder about choices, the idea of choices, and your existence. Essentially, quite literally, this drama is life-changing. Anyway, the third drama, I've tried to talk about this, but ends up being like 10 minutes, and that's way too long. This is only meant to be an introduction to generate some intrigue in the hopes that you would watch it. The third drama, absolutely no hesitations, but it's definitely in the top 5 of C-dramas that I've seen. It's not even up for discussion. It doesn't even matter if you like BL or not. It doesn't matter if you like gay romance or not, because there's censorship and this is portrayed as a bromance, but any fool can see the way that they shot it. It's clearly a romance, and they try to respect the original written material, which is a web novel that's 1,000 chapters, and yes, I've read it all. That's how the fandom is very much alive today. This drama was aired in 2019. I unfortunately gave up after the 4th episode or the 3rd episode because I just thought this is kind of boring and what's happening. But I just want to say, to give you some forewarning, that the interesting bits, the real drama, the real story starts at around episode 4 or 5 when they kick in with the past timeline. That's when it gets really interesting. That's when the binging saga begins. Okay, stay untamed. That's literally it. A lot of people will agree that's definitely one of the best C-dramas. In terms of the genre of Xianxia's Chinese fantasy, the same genre that Till the End of the Moon is. If I have to sum it up in one sentence, it's literally about morality. It's about justice and morality. The theme of power. And if you're given power, what would you do with it? Would you do the right thing? If I have to introduce it, that will literally be it. I think that's probably not the best pitch, but if I have to really sum it up, considering all themes involved, it will literally be about power and about morality and justice and doing the right thing. At the center of it is Wei Wuxian, played by Xiao Zhan. So this is the main character, and in episode 1, quite literally, he gets thrown off a cliff, and you just think, oh my god, what is going on? So that is set in present day. You have to get, I'm just emphasizing again, you need to get past the first 3 episodes because the juicy bits comes in the past timeline, because you see when all the past timeline is addressed. I think it's probably about like 20 episodes, the entirety. They'll start from the very beginning when they're kids, when they're younger, up to the point where he gets thrown off the cliff, and then it recontextualizes everything. So it's quite a good structure, I would say. It's just I didn't have enough pages. I didn't really understand what's going on. But if you read the novel, I think you'll get through those 3 episodes, no problem. But I would suggest to new viewers, you just need to get past those 3 episodes. Literally just do yourself a favor and get past it, because once you get to the past timeline, it'll last for 20 episodes. All the relationships, everything comes full circle to the point where he's thrown off the cliff, and then you understand why. You realize he's gone down this dark path, and he cultivated, and the signature is that he instead of carrying a sword, but he used to carry a sword, and he starts to carry a flute, and there's a reason for that. It is a heartbreaking reason. Okay, it's a whole emotional roller coaster with this drama. I honestly wish I could experience it the first time again, but sadly I can't. Reading the book prior to the drama is such an experience. I will not trade it. I just absolutely envy people who have not seen this drama and can watch it the first time. The twists, the angst, the implications of the choices that are made is enough to make one weep. Okay, so you kind of want to understand, how did Wei Wuxian become somebody who carries the flute? Why did he succumb to this dark methods, and why? And is he really that horrible? Is he actually a hero? Well, you're gonna have to just find out. Okay, to try and summarize in 5 minutes, it's been 5 minutes, it's absolutely diabolical because you could pretty much a lot of people could host a podcast about this drama. It remains as one of the goats. Okay, it remains as one of the goats. It's not to be missed. So far, I've recommended 3. There's 2 more that I want to recommend. So stay tuned for that.